Hey mamas, good evening. How is everybody? I'm gonna give you guys a few moments to pop on here. I just got my baby girl down. She took a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm on here much later than usual. And if you hear some like fuzzy sound, it's the baby monitor. I have it on so that I can stay connected with her in case she wakes up. My husband had a procedure. He got snipped today. So we are done having babies. And I'm taking care of everything because he's got to stay off of his feet for today. So yeah. Today's topic is going to be on letting go, releasing, endings, and how that can look for your healing process and your process of self-mastery, your journey to self-mastery. If you are tuning in live, you can comment and participate tonight. Let me know you're here. Let me know how you land with what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. If you're catching this after the live, hashtag replay, let me know when you are able to tune in, and obviously you can still participate. I love hopping on and getting back in the comments later on after the live as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started now and just kind of share with you what inspired this topic for tonight's teaching, which is a really sad, very heavy on my heart chakra energy that I've been feeling since Tuesday because my dog died. And it's a very significant ending. It's even bigger than just her passing. It's the end of an era for me. I had 3 dogs that I'm 34, so I got the first one of the 3 when I was 18, and ended up getting 3 dogs over a few years and living out my entire journey from like being a child into becoming a woman, and my spiritual awakening and traveling, moving them all over the country with me, traveling all over the world. They would stay home when I would go do my trips. They were family dogs. They were mine, but they would stay with my parents. And yeah, so the last of my 3 dogs just passed away this week, very unexpectedly. And it was a really traumatic process and very painful to watch. And I am still going through the emotions that naturally follow loss. She was a member of my family, and I'm also grieving and sitting in this space right now of shock and having trouble like getting to my landing point of accepting the end of this era. It's really just a strange place to be in right now. I'm like in the transition of after the end and before the next beginning. And so that's really what led me to want to talk to you about this stuff tonight, with letting go and releasing and endings. It's also very much in alignment with the medicine wheel. It's the first cycle of the medicine wheel in shedding and letting go, which I will be talking more about in the masterclass coming up February 27th, The Way of the Wheel. If you haven't signed up for that yet, now is a great time to do so. It's going to be a deep dive into the medicine wheel, really introducing you to what it is, how it works, how it's probably already serving you, and how it can really take you deep within your self-mastery journey and healing process. So yeah, that's kind of just a little backstory on what led me to want to talk to you about this topic tonight. So let's talk about letting go and releasing, and what that means for someone who's like you and me, who's choosing to be on this epic journey into deeper self-awareness and really stepping into your highest self and really gaining mastery over yourself by remembering who you are and connecting on a soul level fully with who you are. And that requires a lot of shadow work and a lot of letting go and shedding and releasing. So for those of you who are on this epic quest with me in your own personal process, I'm glad you're here. And it's real. I feel like letting go and death, and not just death in terms of life force energy that keeps us alive in the physical body, in the physical world, but death is, in all aspects of our beingness, because it's an ending. And yeah, so how this looks when you're on in the process, like for me, how I said I'm in this transitional phase right now. I'm doing my best to just feel into my sorrow, feel into this space, this void, this space that doesn't quite know where to land yet, because I am realizing every moment that I feel into myself the changes and the shifting that has been occurring long before the loss fully gave way. But the changes and the shifting that's been going on and is going on inside of me now, and that does inevitably happen every time that we go through a loss or have this new space of growth where something ends in order, some chapter closes before the next chapter opens, before the next door opens. And it's a tough place to be in when you're in that ending and the unknown is on the other side of the door, but you haven't quite fully opened it and stepped through yet. And for me with this, it's like I just had my second baby 3 months ago. We moved. I got married last year. I lost one of my other dogs the week I was getting married in Utah. She passed away where I wasn't even there with her. And so there's been a lot of this, like these beautiful blessings with this aspect of having to let go. And generally, when you're in a phase of letting go and in a phase of death or endings, a lot of that can be out of your hands and out of your control. And a lot of the times that's how it goes. It's like you have to step forward. You have to embody a higher version of yourself because it's simply time. And that is such a powerful and epic space to really root into, is that no matter if you are choosing it, whether you're like setting a boundary, cutting ties, and choosing to release toxic habits from yourself, people, situations, ending a job to start your own career on the path of your soul purpose, whatever it is, no matter what it looks like, it's like this really epic space that you have to come into of just facing facing the journey ahead, having the courage to open that door and walk through into the next beginning, and not, letting go for me in this phase, and for many of you who are in a phase of letting go right now. It's like, it doesn't mean that you forget about your past, or that you can, even if you wanted to, because you can't. You don't just forget things that have happened to you, whether it's trauma, whether it's exquisite love, or anything in between, a cycle of growth. Those things come with storms, they come with memories, they come with celebrations and blessings. And it's really just like part of this dance in life, this ebb and flow. And so it brings up, these ups and downs of pain or woe and sadness. And for me, I've been sitting in this space of, today was a very full day for my family. And today's Friday, so this happened Tuesday night, and I'm still in this process of like not fully having accepted it yet, I think, or I have accepted it, but I'm like not walking through that door yet, of what's next. And it's not because I don't want to, it's just I have more to process. And so, like in the medicine wheel, and when you are shedding a layer of yourself, or shedding an era of yourself, shedding an era of your life, shedding generational ties of trauma or toxicity, or letting go of or reclaiming ancestral lineage within you. It all comes with a mountain to climb of that requires courage to get through the pain, even in the moments of when my dog was passing. She suffered till the very last moment. I've witnessed a lot of death in my life, where I've been present with death. And this was one of the hardest times of any being I've seen. And so obviously I will never forget that moment. And I just thank God that I was there with her. But it's also like, okay, this chapter is ending. I have to close this book and move forward into what life can offer me now. I'm a mom of 3 beautiful children, all 5 and under. So life is full and is abundant. And in terms of the expression of love and the gifts of love that I receive from my children and my husband, and that I give to them. So when I think of that, I'm like, oh, well, this is a beautiful space. Now I'm able to just fully breathe into that body of motherhood, because the cycle of motherhood with my 3 puppies is over. I'm trying to look at it in a silver lining type of way. It's apparent to me, and it is throughout life, that no matter where you're at with an ending or a death or a phase of loss where it feels like great loss, it's happening to you and for you to grow and to really get more deeply connected with yourself in some way. So it can be on just a mental level, just a physical level, just an emotional level, just a physical level, a spiritual level, or all of the above. And generally it's actually all of the above, but we go through those levels of connection individually and in phases. And that's what the medicine wheel does as well. I'm like oddly in 2 cycles right now at the same time, and I'm having trouble feeling into this, and it's it's not because I can't, it's because I have more sitting in this space to do, to become more aware and more connected to who I am on a soul level, and to really receive the teachings coming through at this time for me of being able to be in a space of loss and letting go and releasing, while also being in that space of that I'm wanting to implore to you right now of the new beginnings and the gains and the celebration and the fresh start and the excitingness of what's to come, the unknowns that really come from the loss. So in getting to this space of the joy, the new beginning, the birth, the rebirth, whatever it is for you, release is so important. And release is really the key to letting go and shedding. Without the release, what are we doing? We're holding on, right? If you don't release something, if you don't fully expel the energy of whatever it is that you're holding on to, you're unable to fully shed. You're not shedding, you're blocking and you're binding and you're bounding up some sort of energy in relation to whatever it is that is coming up for you at this time in your process of letting go. And this feels so juicy right now. Let me know in the comments if this is landing for you, what this is, how this is making you feel. And I feel like this is a really big and great and important topic to really sit with, because releasing, it's like, how do you release? How will you choose to release in this? In my first cycle of the medicine wheel, I released, oh my gosh, I released multiple lifetimes of pain and suffering that I thought I had been living without. I had the memories and I thought that I was carrying on with my life before I went into the wheel. And then I realized, no, actually, I had so much to let go of and shed, because although I was able to acknowledge those things that I did not want anything to do with anymore, those moments of trauma, of pain, or where I could acknowledge the bigger version of myself that didn't fit into that space anymore, of this previous version of myself, I hadn't actually felt the feelings, thought the thoughts, and then released them through my physical body. And because of that, they were still attached to me. These experiences were more like entities attached to me versus just memories or just a previous version of myself. And so the release is so important, because if you don't fully release your feelings and your thoughts, then somehow, like if you can think of yourself as a snake, and a snake sheds its skin, we shed our layers. If you don't fully release those thoughts and feelings in some way, if you keep it all internalized, then that skin that's ready to shed is going to hang on. And even if it's excuse me, even if it's by a thread, everywhere you go, everywhere you travel, everywhere that you reach higher and higher and higher up your divine body, up through your soul, this skin will stay attached to the embodiment of your soul, to who you are, with that thread, or maybe more, many threads. So I want to encourage you, as you're going through this process of letting go. Maybe you know exactly why you're hearing this right now. Maybe you don't feel like you're in a state of needing to let go of something, but you just were. or you will be entering another phase of letting go soon. And I want to encourage you to be very mindful of the release. For me, last night, my process for releasing was getting into the bath. I take big, yummy bubble baths full of salts and oils and all the things regularly. Water is something I crave and something I need and something that's so good for my soul and my intuition and my clarity and my emotional body, which is a big part of me and of all of us, really. I got in the bath and I was trying to release by thinking of positive stuff, but my mind kept going into like a trauma state and a traumatized thought process. And I ended up just like going into the water. I had jets on in my tub and getting really close to these jets and letting them like flow up into my face. And I just screamed and cried into the water. And there was just so much motion, and I just was visualizing and intentioning this breaking up my thoughts that are right now in this cyclic space. And I was really committing to starting today in a new space, a little bit lighter of a space. And obviously today I'm still having similar thoughts come up for me because that is my mind's way of processing what I just experienced the other day. But I feel lighter in terms of my emotional body because I had some release. I'm not done releasing, but allowing myself to baby step and have these gradual moments of release is so good. So examples of release to me, when we are in a state of sadness, crying, screaming, sadness, frustration, anger, pain, whatever, is crying, screaming, writing, laughing, and breath work, letting out deep, deep exhales, allowing yourself not just to breathe in and hold in, but let it out. Let the breath out. That is something that I teach inside of the medicine wheel when I guide my moms through this cycle is breathing out, experiencing the exhale more. It's so important. If you are in a phase of letting go in a different way, where maybe you're just going on from one phase of your life to the next, like I said earlier, of like a job or could be a relationship, but where it's a healthy break, it's a break that you're choosing and you know you want, and or even for people in addiction where that's a really tough space to be in, but where you're in a point of like, this is the healthy choice, it's right, you've got some footing in this, but you still have to work through fully embodying your next version and what that requires. A great way to release in those ways, I always recommend having some sort of heart-to-heart conversation if it's a person that you are walking away from, or just, if even at a job, people that you're connected to, having some sort of moment of gratitude or having some sort of moment of acknowledging like, hey, this was really good for me and it's not fitting anymore because I'm going on, I'm feeling called, I'm moving on. But acknowledging that even in the physical body, verbally or mentally, or writing something down and setting it on fire so that you released it mentally and emotionally, but then you let it go. Setting something on fire is so symbolic of the letting go, because once it burns, turns to ashes, it's gone. And you put those ashes back into the earth, and it's just that cycle, like the wheel. So there's so many ways to release, and I would love to know if you have any other techniques that you use for mindful release. Let me know what they are in the comments. I would love to know. And I would love to know how you're feeling with this conversation right now. This is purely based on what I've been channeling all day long and feeling into for the last several days. And I just feel like there's nothing better than real, raw connection as a woman and as a mother. And this is a space that I want to show up for you while also nourishing myself through this conversation and shed some light, some light, and really release some of my thoughts and my feelings on this beautiful body, this process of letting go. It really helps us if we allow ourselves to process things and not just hold in the pain or hold in the memories, but not process the memories, not experience, like a memory, it's there to like feed you and re-experience something. And that can either be a crutch if it's trauma, or it can be a blessing if it's something of joy. And either way, it's learning how to go through the moment in a mindful way. Go through the moment and then in a mindful way, let it go. Like just have the instance and let it go. So yeah, this is such a powerful and inevitable point for healing your soul and really getting on a soul level of connection and stepping into your biggest, best version. I know that what's on the other side of my healing process from the passing of my dog is, and the realization that this huge era of my life, such a pivotal and sacred and very, very important, the most prominent era of my life thus far, is over, and the next one is starting. And I am in that process of healing the emotions attached to the sadness and allowing myself to see all the possibilities for what's next. Because of course I'm rising up. Of course I'm just growing more, getting more in tune with who I am, and becoming a woman, a soul and a woman with more depth and more abundance and more wisdom. And then what do I do with that? I share that with the rest of the world, because that is my calling, and that's really the calling within all of us. We go through these experiences of pain, of trauma, of growth, of letting go, walking through the release, walking through the acceptance. We learn all of these things, we experience them ourselves in order to help other people and teach other people, our children especially. And that is the calling. That is your soul purpose. Your soul purpose is to share your experiences once you get through them in a way that, feeds your calling. And of course, that's another topic for another day. But I just want to kind of bridge the gap, or like bring these two worlds together for you. I feel like it's really important, and something is telling me to do so, of not only remembering like your pain is your power, but realizing that your soul's calling is to your soul purpose, and your calling is inside of those experiences. And it's uncovering the uniqueness of who you are and adapting that to how you can show up for others, because it's so much easier for us to support other people and give this language and this wisdom to others. It's harder to hear it for yourself. Like, I joke about that all the time, and I hear people that I look up to, that I consider mentors of mine, and really leaders of the world, say the same thing, where it's so hard to feed yourself with the wisdom you can feed others with. But there's a reason for that, and it's because we are all here to support one another. We are all here to guide and show up for others in some way. And so me coming on live tonight talking about my pain, my sadness, my struggle with acceptance, my realizations, and my current journey through the release and the letting go that I have seen so much of in my life between death and trauma in many forms. It's there. It's there to catapult you and I into our highest self and truly show up for others. Because when we do that, we feed the fuck out of our soul, and that's real talk. So yeah, that's what I have for you tonight. I'm going to close this with a song. I'm probably going to share this song again next week on a live, just because I'm wanting to, and it's wanting to come through me. This is a song that I channeled several years ago now, when I was in a really deep space of healing, and I was at the same time that I was in this really deep space of healing, I was showing up to offer healing for other women. And this song just came through one day where I knew it was for me and a specific client that I was working on. So I sang it to her. And I sang this to Pumpkin at, like, literally in the moments of her last breath. I was singing this song as her soul was transitioning. So now I want to share this with you to close up our live. And please hop in on this conversation, get in the comments, and let me know how this stuff lands for you for real. I want to hear from you and know how it makes you feel, what your experiences are with this, if you have wisdom to share as well with the group. And let me know, like, what lands for you, what speaks to you, if this gave you any breakthroughs. I want to hear from you. All right, so now I'm going to sing this song. Te amaha we ho, te amaha, te amaha we ho, te amaha, I am we amae wa ho, I am we amae wa ho. Te amaha we ho, te amaha, te amaha we ho, te amaha, I am we amae wa ho, I am we amae wa ho. Te am away ho, te amaya we ho, te am we aho, te amaha we ho, te amaha. Te amaha we ho, te amaha, I am we amae wa ho, I am we amae wa ho, wa ho, aho. I hope that this brings you peace, gives you and feeds you something that at this time helps you in your healing process, in your self-mastery journey. And I love you all. I will see you next week. And I will drop the link to the master class for the medicine wheel in the comments for those of you who are interested in joining. That's February 27th, so you have until the 26th to join. Mara, thank you. You're so welcome. I'm so glad that this is feeding you. That makes me feel so good. All right, I love you all. Have a beautiful night and a beautiful weekend. Namaste.